Hello everybody, today we're taking a look at the Hobbymate D6 Dual Pro AC/DC Dual Channel Smart Charger. In the box you receive the charger itself, AC power cord, and a specification sheet. On the Hobbymate website you can download a detailed manual that reviews all the features and functions. So let's take a look around the charger. On the face of the charger you have a large full color LCD, a channel selector button, and a speed shuttle key. On top, this is actually a wireless charging pad for your cell phone. On the front of the charger, you have the battery connector for channel 1, channel 2, and their respective balance connectors. On the back of the charger, you have AC input from 100 to 240 volts, so that covers a wide range of AC inputs, and also DC input from 6.5 volts to 30 volts. On the right side, you have a USB plug for 5 volts, 2.1 amps rated, and a USB port for updating the firmware. So let's go ahead and plug it in. So when it starts up, it goes to a self-check mode. Taking a look at the specifications, the AC input voltage is from 100 volts to 240 volts, and the DC is from 6.5 to 30 volts. The charge currents are from 0.1 to 15 amps for each channel. The charge power for the DC mode is 325 watts for each channel. The AC mode is 200 watts combined. The discharge power is for 15 watts per channel. You have an external discharge function that can discharge at 325 watts for each channel for a total of 650 watts. It charges every single type of battery, all the lithium batteries, all the nickel batteries, smart batteries, lead acid batteries, and the interloop batteries for 1 to 6 cells for the lithium. The zincs are from 1 to 16 cells. The smart batteries are up to 7 cells. And lead acids up to 24 volts. And the interloops up to 16 cells. The balance current is 1600 milliamps times 2. Discharge current is anywhere between 0.1 and 3 amps times 2. Of course, limited by the total of 15 watts that it can handle on discharge. We talked about the external discharge current up to 15 amps. USB power, 5 volts at 2.1 amps. It has a storage temperature. You're supposed to store it anywhere between negative 20 to 60 degrees centigrade. Operating temperature is up to 40 degrees centigrade. The LCD screen is 320 dots by 240 dot resolution and up to 260,000 colors. The dimensions are roughly, like we talked about, 4 inches by 4 inches by 3 inches. And the weight is 555 grams. So let's take a look and see how the menus are set up. So let's go ahead and plug in a battery. I got one here with an XT60 connector. On the balance lead, you typically have little tabs. The ground is typically on the right side. If the tabs are facing up, you want to plug that all the way to the right on the balance connector here. All right, so let's go into and take a look at some of the overall charger functions. So hold down the shuttle key button and you go into task parameters. All right, so the safety timer by default comes maxed out at a very high amount of time. So I recommend you change that down to 90 minutes. There's no reason why a particular charge, usually you charge at least 1C, should happen in that 90-minute time frame. Typically closer to an hour. Max capacity comes maxed out. I went ahead and changed it to 30,000 milliamp hours because that's the most I think I might ever charge on a single channel. And the rest of these parameters are fine. So these system parameters, language, you have different options there. Go back here. I'll leave it on English. You have the max input voltage, or maximum input power, 700 watts. That's fine. Minimum input voltage is 6.5. We could change that if we wanted to. If we were going to use a battery, another battery to charge, as a big battery to charge these. So maybe I change that down to something like 12 volts. Backlight, wireless charging is on. You can change the beeper volume. You can change the completion tone, whether it continues to beep when it gets done. You can change the name of the device. So we have calibrations for channels 1 and 2. We don't need to do anything there. We does a system check when we start up. You can load up the factory defaults. And then you have system info. This tells you the hardware, software, and firmware versions. Let me go back. You can hold that down again. And yeah, that was everything. So then if you just simply, if I want to charge this battery, if you simply, so this is a 1300 milliamp hour 4-cell battery. You got to select the channel. So I'm selected on channel 1. So that's this channel 1. And then you click it quickly, and then you can determine what kind of, set up your charge settings. So we are going to charge. Options here are to discharge. You discharge externally. You have storage and balance. So we go back here. What type of battery? It is a LiPo, but all the different types of LiPos, high voltage, lithium ion, all the nickel batteries, all the ones we talked about a few minutes ago. So we're going to leave that on LiPo. Cell voltage, you can change it from the default 4.2, but I don't recommend you do. This is the ideal termination voltage for LiPo, so leave that on 4.2. Cell count 4S. It's going to automatically know because you got it plugged into the balance connector. But if your balance connector is damaged on one of your batteries, you make sure you select it right here. Charge current. I'm going to charge this at 1C. So I'm going to go to 1.3 amps for a 1300 milliamp hour battery. Then I go to start task. And you hold that down, and then it starts charging. So it's telling me that it's charging at 0.1 amps. It's increasing up to the 1.3, which I selected. The current voltage on the pack is 15.1 volts. And these are the individual cell values. So cell 1, cell 2, cell 3, and cell 4. And if I wait a couple minutes, it'll tell me the internal resistance for each one of the batteries. So that internal resistance is handy. So I'll just wait a second here. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes for that to show up. So we'll just wait, and I'll stop the video and start it back up when those show up. There we go. That happened a lot faster than I was thinking. It only took, just a few seconds actually for it to show up. So it's measuring 1.6 milliohms for each one of the individual packs. So that kind of determines how internal resistance is kind of a measure of how good your pack is. Typically, the higher C batteries have lower internal resistance. You can check this periodically on your batteries. As your batteries age, you'd expect this number to go up, and you'll end up seeing that your battery gets soft. Effectively, the C value gets lower. So, so this will continue to charge until this pack reaches 16.8 volts, and each one of these cells will be balanced. Of course, it's balancing. It'll be balanced to exactly 4.200 volts. So if you want to stop it, you can either click in, just hit stop here, and then it'll stop the charging function. So I can hook up a second battery. So this is a 4200 milliamp hour 3-cell. So go ahead and get that plugged in. And again, moving all the way to the right on the balance connector. We can go ahead and continue charging on this one, on the first battery. Just quick press, start it. Now switch over to channel 2. It says channel 2 in the upper right hand corner, or upper left hand corner here. So let's go ahead and set up the parameters for this one. So it automatically knows it's 3S. We're going to change the charge current, charge it at 1C. So it'll be 4.2 amps for this 4200 milliamp hour pack. So scroll to 4.2. That's it. Go down to start. Start it up. Now they're both charging. You can go back and you can be both of them at the same time. So these will continue to charge at 1C. Obviously, you can change it to whatever you want as far as charge current. And then it'll terminate and it'll continue to beep, repeatedly as the first one or the second one that ends up finishing charging. So one of the features of this charger, as I mentioned, it has wireless charging. So if you just set your wireless charging compatible phone up on top, it'll start charging. You can see this one says wireless charging, and it's going to continue to charge. So if you have a phone that has that capability, it's kind of nice to have this built in. If you're in the field and want to charge your phone, it's easy enough. So let's just do one other thing here. Let's go ahead and understand if you hold down stop button, they both will terminate if you end up holding that down, or you can click one and click it and stop them individually. But let's go over here to channel 1, and I'll show you how to discharge this to storage voltage. So quick click, select the task type, and we'll go to storage. And so for LiPos, the ideal storage voltage for cells is 3.8 volts. for that. And the current setting, so we'll change that to discharge this, you know, somewhere around the 3 amp. And we'll just go down and hit start task. And now you see the changing, well, and the storage is already done because it was essentially there already, but because I had already had this as storage and we just charged it just very quickly. But it's already storage. You can see the individual cell voltages here at 3.8 0 volts. So let's talk about this power capability of 200 watts on AC and 650 watts on DC, and remembering that we have a 15 amp per channel current limitation. So I made up this little table. We're going to talk about LiPos in this example. So we have the maximum amps for 200 watts down this column here, maximum amps for 650 watts, of course that's under DC, under this column here, LiPo cell counts, maximum voltage for each type of LiPo cell count, and number of 1300 milliamp hour packs. In this example, I'll just pick these size batteries. Is fairly common. Number of 2200 milliamp hour packs and number of 4200 milliamp hour packs, just to show how many packs you can charge with a charger using 200 watts or 650 watts. So you saw me using it to charge 3-cell packs and 4-cell packs. So we'll just talk about those. And so with that, a 3-cell pack has a maximum voltage of 12.6 volts, 4-cell 16.8 volts. So the maximum amps I can charge with 3-cell packs are 15.9 amps. So the maximum for 4-cell packs at 200 watts is 11.9 amps. So how many 1300 milliamp hour packs can I charge? So how many 3-cell packs? I can charge up to 12 3-cell packs with this charger all at the same time, using a balanced charge plate. For if they were 4-cell packs, I can charge up to 9 of them at any given time. Now you can see over here, 2200 milliamp hour packs up to 7 any given time under 200 watts, and 5 if they happen to be 16.8. So you can kind of see this whole table is filled out for all cell counts on LiPos and for 200 and 650 watts. So going back to now, if I look at, I could charge 12 at 200 watts. If I hooked up to DC, I can charge up to 23 1300 milliamp hour packs. 12 is a lot to begin with. That's an incredible number. So 200 watts is a lot of power already, but 650 watts is an incredible amount. So you can see here, the reason that these are all 30 down through here is because you run into the 15 amp per channel, 15 times 2, 30 limitation on the 650 watts. It's not until you get down into here on some of the big 6S packs where your limitation is going to be your watts instead of your amps. So, but you can see here by looking at this table, this charger has incredible capability. So let me get it set up on AC to show you what 200 watts worth of batteries all being charged at the same time using balanced charge plates, what that looks like. Here's essentially 200 watts of battery charging at 1C. I have a parallel charging plate on this side and a parallel charging plate on this side. These are 4 cells. These are 3 cells. Some of the rules on parallel charging is you can't mix cells. So you couldn't have 4 cells and 3 cells mixed on this side. You always have to have 4 cells together, 3 cells together, 1 cell together, 2 cells together, and so forth and so on. So that's the main rule. Next rule is the voltages on similar packs or on packs need to be very similar to the degree of about 0.1 volts for each cell. So these are 4 cells, so all these batteries should be within 0.4 volts of each other. You can get one of these little individual cell checkers to confirm that before you plug them in, but they need to be within 0.4 for 4 cells, 0.3 for 3 cells. And then you plug in the main leads first, you wait a couple minutes, and then that slight differential voltage will equalize between all the packs, and then you plug in the balance leads. You don't want to push a lot of current through the balance leads because they're small wires. But once you do that, you just simply add up all the milliamp hours on each side. So these are 1300s. This one. These are 1000s. Add those all up. it's roughly 6,000. And over here, these are 2200s. This is a 1300, roughly 8,000 total. So you would just go on channel 1 here. Again, remember that's 6,000 or 6 amps. Go in here. How much current? Go ahead and pick it up to 6 amps. There we go, 6 amps. Start task. There we go, it's charging. I'll go over to cell 2 here, or the channel 2, and okay, it's set up on charge. All we gotta do here is change it to around the 8 amps. Hit start. Now they're both going. Okay, so now they're going ahead and charging, and they'll go ahead and complete all these batteries. They're charging a 1C. They're not fully depleted. They'll be charged in well less than an hour. So you can see here that this capability, even on 200 watts, is incredible. So then you go back to the, thinking about hooking up to your car battery for charging in the field. There you go, 6 amps and 8 amps, charging the full 1C on all these batteries. And then you go back and think about 650 watts and think about the number of cells. I mean, we essentially more than triple or close to triple our cells for our 1300s and close to triple our cells for 2200s. So the number of batteries you can charge is really incredible. So this charger is incredibly powerful. Even 200 watts is a lot. 650 watts is an amazing amount. It's amazing that they can fit the AC power converter inside this small package, and that it has that capability. In fact, as all the pocket chargers, this is the only one that I'm aware of that has both AC and DC function. You can get that same function, AC-DC function, in larger chargers, like this charger here. But even this bigger charger, I mean, this is only 80 watts times 2, so this is 160 watts total. That is still, this charger is even more capable than that. And of course, that's AC and DC both. So whereas this is only 160 watts when you hook it up to DC, this one's 650 watts. And of course, I really like the new computerized user interface, color screen. A lot of these other chargers kind of use the same generic type firmware, a couple LCD lines here, very basic. This has got a lot more information. So all in all, in my opinion, if I were to design a charger from the ground up, checking every box on the wish list, this charger covers it. AC for when you're at the house, before you go flying. DC for when you're in the field. You get a couple of these balance charge plates. These are like $10 each. You can even expand the capability if you got a bunch of smaller packs. You may not need, this if you have really large packs. But if you want to charge multiple small packs, this is a really good way to do it. So this charger checks all the boxes. AC, DC, charges every single known battery type that's out there. Also, it has internal battery resistance measurement, has all the safety functions. It essentially, there's nothing that I can think of that I would wish that this charger has that it doesn't already has. So with that concludes this video, and thank you for watching.